Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu, and I'm always in the marketplace for the new ideas, top talent, new startups, companies, marketing. And so today I'm happy to introduce Jenna Riggi, and she's the founder and CEO of Link Before You Sink, which is a jewelry company, and we'll talk all about it. So today's talk will all be about entrepreneurship, starting a business, making the leap, and I'm happy to introduce Jenna to the show. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to share my journey with your followers.
Yeah, briefly, 2-3 minutes about your story, how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. So as you said, I am the founder and creator of Link Before You Sink. And it's a jewelry business, but I always say we're mission driven first, jewelry second. So I hate talking about myself, but I'll give you the background so you can kind of get up to speed. But I started it in 2014. I went through a lot of losses. I lost my father to cancer. I broke off an engagement. And then a couple of days after that, this is all within 2.5 weeks time, I lost a very close family friend of mine. So I relocated back from Florida, where I was living with my fiance at the time, back to Ohio, where my family and friends reside. And I made a promise to myself on that drive that I would pay it forward when I got back on my feet. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I made that promise to myself. And it was about 3.5 years later, I was riding my bike and the chain actually fell off and broke. And I was all ticked off, and I looked down and I had an epiphany, I guess you could call it, or one of those aha moments that I could realize that I could make jewelry out of the broken bike chain. So our mission was set that day. It's to find strength by linking with others. And we do that through our jewelry pieces, but we also do that through story sharing as well. And that's the verb of linking. So our jewelry is the noun, and then the verb is the story sharing. So we have a blog, and with each link, or jewelry link, as I call them, that you purchase, you receive a story that was submitted on our blog. So our pieces are worn as a reminder that you're not alone.
Interesting. That's a very fascinating story. It's interesting, talking to a lot of founders, how the universe conspires to push you away from things, and, like Gabby Bernstein says, universe has your back. But, what's interesting is you also, because it's story and storytelling. So talk about this, we'll break it down to a couple themes. So one is these charms of unity. And so talk about a symbol of collective strength.
Yeah. So I started actually with just 2 SKUs. I mean, they came in different colors and variants, but so I was telling my friends about this, and they're like, they're thinking like more, you're like wearing a chain. I'm like, no, each piece is a charm. It's one charm. So when you break down a bike chain, it breaks down between a flat, a double, a flat, and a double. So I use both pieces. The flat is like a more subtle look. I'm actually wearing it now. And then the double is like the chunkier, longer look. Those are the only 2 SKUs that we started with. And now I've transitioned to like beaded bracelets and other styles, but everything that we make on it has a link on it, again, to be worn as a reminder that you're not alone. So that's the design aspect of it. If that answers your question there.
And then you have from unity to linking strength. And so finding resilience through connection. Talk about that.
So, and again, the why was always there. Like on that car ride, I don't think I turned the radio on once, and it was a 22-hour drive. So I'm thinking like, what am I going to tell people? Like, how can I help people? How can I learn from this dark time in my life? Like, I want to pay it forward. I couldn't see 2 feet, I didn't see a glimmer of hope, to be honest with you. So the why, I guess, was there. Like, I knew I wanted to connect. I didn't know it was linking necessarily at the time, but I knew I wanted to connect with others struggling. So when I came across the bike chain, for me, it was like, this jewelry, it was the symbolism of linking. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it at a time. And like all entrepreneurs, we pivot a million different ways. I used to just let the entrepreneur, the purchaser, they buy their jewelry link. And then I used to let them pick a story. And it was, to be honest with you, it was so complicated on the back end. Now we just do like a featured story of the month, and a QR code takes them to the featured story, but then they can drop down, and I have it all broken down by topics now. So they can pick. So say, for example, this month it was about a woman, Brooke, who shared the loss of her brother. So you go to that featured story, but now you can click underneath and, say if you resonate with with a divorce or a miscarriage or anxiety or depression, you can find your strength by linking that way of whatever, you're going through at that time.
Interesting. And then I know, well, I mean, we could go on, but you talk about this chains of isolation and then global links, spreading connection. But it's, the underlying theme is how community and story and your mission is drives everything. It's not the jewelry itself, but it's, what they've come to symbolize. So very powerful. One thing is talking about is, as entrepreneurs, especially in these days with everything going on, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs, either currently or they want to start, doubting the process, struggling, dealing with uncertainty, all of that?
Sure. I guess two things to speak to that. So starting, I always say start with you. If you're like, I don't know what I want to do, I know I want to own my business, I always say start with your why, because I've noticed if you're just in it strictly for money, when hiccups happen, because they will, and any entrepreneur knows that already is currently in business, you got to get through it. And the only way you're going to get through it with your why is your why. So some people it's, your kids, or for me, of course, it's my family, but it's the mission. It's like, why are you doing this? It's a remembrance of my dad. So I always say, so if you're just starting out, find your why, and then the rest will kind of fall into place. So the second part of that is, if you are already in business, what has helped me when those hiccups do happen, because they will. And this is maybe a little corny, but I'll tell you anyways, I started a Just Jenna folder. So whenever somebody sends me a really positive message or a DM or a Facebook, post, and, I just actually got one. This was, I think it was on Sunday. Hey, I just wanted to tell you, I really appreciate what you're doing. My daughter struggles with depression. Those are messages that I screenshot. I put that in my Just Jenna folder, and I save that. So when I am in the pit, and when a printer breaks or an influencer says, you're never going to make a difference with that, because that's happened as well. It's like, it hurts, but then I get out that folder and I reread my why and all those positive comments. And, that's what makes me, and maybe it's not an hour later, maybe sometimes it's okay, let's reset and let's start the next day. But that's what helps me reset again, is just going back to maybe for some people it's journaling, but it's like, why are you doing this? And whatever helps you. For me, it's my Just Jenna folder that I have saved in my iPhone that helps me reset again. So it's about touching that, that one person. Maybe somebody's always going to have negative feedback about your business. You're always going to have hiccups, but go back to your why and write down those positive reasons of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. The other question is this idea that people that are thinking, they think that they have to have the perfect idea or the perfect plan, but talk about, struggling and, adapting, evolving your story, changing your story, adapting, evolving the business, talk about.
Do you want to be here all day? Because I could go on from a million things that I've learned. They always say, if you start when everything's perfect, you've started too late. And oh my gosh, that's totally true. So, as people just think, she just broke apart this bike chain and now she's linked in 20 countries. And that's not how that happens. That's the rags to riches story, or the A to Z story. There's a lot that goes into that. But for me, it was just I would we'll just talk about the actual product. I would test the metals in rubbing alcohol and bleach. Nothing would happen to them. And then I'd have a friend put it on and it was itchy. So it was oh man, it's steel. I don't understand. How's it not hyperallergenic? So there's a million things that I learned, even just about the actual product. And now we used to do brass. It's not as strong as stainless steel. So, I could go on and on about the product. The story sharing, that was a whole nother, thing as well. I kind of, when I originally thought about it, I was like, I wanted like secret pen pals. So if I lost my father to cancer, for example, but the whole purpose of it is to connect with loss. Well, then I'd have people sending me DMs like, oh my gosh, you have a story that, I have a person, their 75-year-old grandfather died of Alzheimer's. Do you have another 75-year-old grandfather that died of Alzheimer's? I'm like, you're missing the point. So then I was like, oh my God. Then I pulled the story sharing all together for probably 6 months. And then I sent out a survey and everyone's like, we're missing the verb of linking. Like, so that was a whole nother struggle figuring out how I was going to go back. And I simplified it. It was like, okay, it's a QR code, links to a featured story. But if there's a drop down, you can pick something that resonates with you. I mean, again, those are two just examples of the actual product and then the verb of linking. But I could go on and on all day about the wasted money and the tears and the negative comments, like that'll never work, but there's a lot. So just keep going. And again, go get your Just Jenna folder out and go back to your why.
Yeah. I love that. Just like Nike says, or just do it, or other people's entrepreneurs such as yourself I've talked to, they just said, just start.
Just dive in.
Yeah, just do it and just execute. Once you've achieved a certain level of success, and it sounds like you have different ways of linking people together, helping others struggling. So what is your way of giving back? How do you give back?
Great question. So there's 3 main ways. Is product. I donate a lot of product to those in need. Like I just dropped off 500 jewelry links to our local children's. So product, I give product to like fundraisers and stuff as well too. Monetarily, I do fundraisers. I just did like the nationwide May was Mental Health Awareness Month. So it was a big month for me with fundraisers. But I give back a portion of proceeds anytime I do a benefit or fundraiser. And we've actually done some, if you go to like our Start a Chain Reaction page on my website, but we do like, there's a form in there to fill out for like, if you're requesting a fundraising product. So portion of proceeds, so monetarily. And then the story sharing, I mean, that's giving others the gift of hope. And what's funny to me, those that when I first started, of course, it was my initial friends sharing their story, and they're like, Jenna, do I have to do this? I'm like, yes, I need a story for this category or this topic. And then every time they wrote it down, that every single one sent me a message and said, I thought that I was just giving somebody this gift, and it was so much therapy for me, writing down my story. So thanks so much. So that would be the story sharing is giving others the gift of hope. And to me, honestly, that's more important than the product or the monetary gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Really inspiring. I love how it's not about the profits, more about the passion and the purpose. And as we conclude, tell the audience why linking with others is so important, and how can people check out Link Before You Sink and check you out on social media, reach out to you, etc.
Yeah, my my hook is like, alone we are strong, but linked we are stronger. And that's how I got through all of obviously on my About Us, it dives into this deeper, but that's how it's not about me and my story. It's about using my story to empower others, that when you go through a dark time in your life, it is vital to link up and lean on those for support. And I always put as a disclosure, I'm not a mental health therapist. Definitely seek professional help, but linking and seeking social support is so crucial through dark times. So linking, or connection, as other people would call it, is vital always, but especially through dark times. That's how I got through my story and, my pit. And I think that, life is full of peaks and valleys, and we need to learn, lean on our links in life, and you can get through anything. Our website is our Instagram is Link Before You Sink, and our Facebook is actually Link Before You Sink. And I say, again, you can link with us by purchasing a piece, but you can obviously link by sharing your story. So you never know the gift of helping somebody that in need.
Yeah, fantastic conversation. And like I said, all of Jenna's resources will be in the links and show notes. It's all about community, story, passion, purpose, serving, giving back. And all of Jenna's social media links will be in the resources in the show notes, and be sure to check that out. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you. I actually have one other thing, if you don't mind. I forgot. There's a promo code for any of your followers. If they want to use it, it would be physician25. So I'll set that up. Would be good through July 15th. So physician25, if you are interested in purchasing a jewelry link, but I will set that up.
And all of those resources, discount will be in the show notes, and be sure to check that out and join the community. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.